Welcome to QuickBooks Online for Nonprofits. My name is Ufoma Ogaga. I am the owner of Goshen Bookkeeping and Consulting. I am a financial controller and a QuickBooks Pro advisor, helping nonprofits to increase profitability one mission at a time. In this tutorial, I will show you how to use the bank feeds to work on the imported transactions that I showed you in the prior video in the Banking Center in QuickBooks Online. The top section of the Banking Center shows the accounts that are already enabled to use bank feeds. If an account is linked to your online bank or your credit card accounts, the top blue portion of the account box will show the bank or credit card balance as of the date of the last sync. If it's not linked, it will show a $0 amount. The bottom portion of the account box displays the current balance in QuickBooks Register and the number of transactions displayed in the For Review tab below. When transactions are imported from a bank feed, they come into QuickBooks as non-posting transactions. They are not added to your register until you take an action. Notice the little gear icon at the top right of the transaction list here. You can add or remove the columns that are displayed in the transaction list screen. Turning on the check number, class, and location tracking feeds is great when you add transactions directly from the bank feed. The Payee Feed is useful if you want to build reports based on your customer name or your vendor name. Editable date field is used if you are using the bank feeds to enter transactions initiated in a different date or in a different period. Copy bank details retains a record of the bank text in the memo field of the transaction. This is essential if you forget to add a name to the payee field. Remember, the account or category selection is great if you want QuickBooks to always remember what you used before in recording a similar transaction. Show bank details is useful for when you want to add a lot of the data that came in through the bank to the memo field. You can change the number of transactions displayed on this transaction list page by choosing 150 or more. Bank feeds transactions are organized into 3 tabs: For Review, Reviewed or in QuickBooks, and Excluded. The For Review tab displays unposted transactions from the bank feed. The Reviewed or in QuickBooks tab displays bank feed transactions that have been matched or added to your QuickBooks General Ledger register. The Excluded tab displays transactions that have been removed from the For Review tab by you. The For Review tab is where you will begin your bank feed workflow. Transactions are listed under 2 additional tab headings: All and Recognize. If QuickBooks recognizes a transaction that is already recorded in the register, it will display a green matched tag next to that transaction, and it will add it to the Recognize tab. If you see a green box with X records found next to the transaction, this means that QuickBooks Online found multiple possibilities for a match and it's unsure what to do. QuickBooks can also recognize common supplier names, and it will make suggestions regarding the general ledger account to which it should be coded. If you accept the suggested account, QuickBooks will change the account for all transactions of that same vendor name or customer name and the color of the text will be changed to green. For an example, using this checking account that is linked to the bank feeds, I am going to click on the A rental expense transaction, which has the uncategorized expense as the account. I am going to click on the first expense and code it to the equipment rental account and click on Add. Notice the other expense transactions for this same supplier has been added to the Recognize tab, and the equipment rental expenses wording has turned green. If a transaction has been coded using a predefined bank rule, the transaction will have a green rule tag in the account field. Watch my separate video on how to create and use bank rules in QuickBooks Online. To add a new transaction, enter the details about the transaction such as the payee, category, memo, class, and location tracking. I am going to add the Books by Betsy as a new transaction into QuickBooks. If you need to split the transaction among multiple categories, click on the Split button, enter the details in the pop-up window, then click Save and Add. You also have the option to make the transaction billable and enter a customer name, class, and location as well. Let's match a transaction that is already recorded in QuickBooks. If QuickBooks recognizes a transaction that has already been recorded in the register, it will tag it as Match in the Action column. If I agree with the match, I can just click Match and the transaction will be moved to the In QuickBooks tab / Review tab. I am going to match some of the expenses displayed on my screen that have the green match tag. If for some reason QuickBooks does not recognize a transaction that is already recorded in the register, you can manually match the transaction by clicking on the transaction line, then find Match. Using the Chains Gas transaction as my example, you will see a list of possible matches is displayed in this match transaction pop-up screen. I can place a check mark next to the match and then click Save. You can also match bank fee transactions to bills, open invoices, sales receipts, and group multiple customer payments into a single deposit. If there are open items in any one of these categories, they will be displayed in the Match Transactions pop-up screen. Now that we're finished matching and adding transactions, let's review the bank account register for this particular checking account to see how transactions are recorded in the register. So here you will notice that the transactions that I matched earlier or added earlier now have a C next to them. This is different from a transaction that has been matched cleared in the reconciliation screen that will have a letter R next to it. That is how to use the bank feeds to add or match transactions in QuickBooks Online. Stay tuned for the next video on how to create bank rules in QuickBooks Online. Thank you for watching.